Hey everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to make a root vegetable Thai curry. For this video, I'm going to be using some spinach, some sweet potatoes, some fairy tale squash, Brussels sprouts, beets, onions, bell peppers, celery root. I got some red curry paste from the grocery store, 2 cans of coconut milk, some Thai brand fish sauce, which is optional if you want to keep it vegan, and then some citrus. I'm using a lime and a lemon to add some tang. So first, we're basically going to process all of our vegetables. We want them all to be this decent size, the same size dice. So for the celery root, I'm going to take the top off, which is essentially celery. So I'm going to save it for stock. Then I'm basically going to go and trim off the outer exterior of the celery root, set it to the side. For the squash, I'm going to do the same. I like to use my knife and just cut the top and the bottom off so it sits flat, and then just take my knife and kind of work my way around the outside. I find it easier than using a peeler. Then for our squash, just use a spoon to scrape out the seeds from the inside. And then I'm going to cut the thick base off and then cut the part that holds the seeds into thinner strips. And then we're going to dice those, and we're going to dice the bottom. If you cut it this way, you'll end up with very even pieces. I'm going to set that aside. Next, I'm going to take the celery root and cut it into slices. Then take those slices and dice them into the same size square as I cut my squash. And since these are basically the same firmness, I'm going to put them in the same bowl together because they'll start cooking at the same time. For my sweet potato, I have some smaller ones, so I'm just going to peel the skin off, and I'm going to quarter them and then dice, and we'll end up with pretty much the same size as our squash and celery root. Once that's all done, for my Brussels, I'm going to cut the bottom off and then just simply quarter the Brussels sprouts. For a curry, you just want everything to be roughly bite-size. I'm also going to add some beets into my curry. I have some left over from my CSA. So the beets, I put a glove on, peel them, and then just dice them while they're raw. I'm going to add those to the bowl with my Brussels sprouts. Next, I had a few bell peppers, so I'm going to de-seed them, take the top and bottom off, and then just give them a nice slice, nice thin slice. I'm also going to julienne a few red onions. Red or yellow, doesn't matter. For these vegetables, you can really be creative and use what you have in your refrigerator. So as long as everything is cut about the same size and you start with the firmest ingredients first, you'll end up with a decent curry every time if you follow these basic procedure for this. So I'm also going to mince up some garlic. So for the curry itself, it's quite simple. Just get a large pan or pot, and when it gets hot, add in your squash, celery root, and sweet potato. Those are going to be the things that need to cook the longest, so you'll want to start them first. I like to get some color on them, cook them for about 4 or 5 minutes. Then I'm going to add in my garlic, so that'll sweat down, and then my beets and my Brussels sprouts, because those are also very dense and will need some time to cook. So give that a quick stir. We're going to cook it down for another 5 minutes or so before we add anything else. At this point, I'm going to add my onions and peppers, which don't need to cook for as long. Give them a little bit of a stir. I probably should have chosen a bigger pan for this amount of curry. Just be careful so you're not spilling the hot vegetables everywhere. But this will end up cooking down into a smaller amount. So at this point, I like to make a little well in the middle of my pan, an empty spot, and I like to take probably about 2 tablespoons of red curry paste and add it to the center of the pan with a little bit of oil. This will just help cook out that curry a little bit so you don't end up with like raw tasting clumps of red curry paste. So you sweat that in the oil and then go ahead and dump in your 2 cans of coconut milk. If it's solid at the top, that's totally fine. It'll melt all in as it heats up. That fat just is very solid at room temperature, or if it's even a little bit cold in your kitchen, it'll be very solid. So just kind of work it into the curry, slowly stir it in if it's solid. And at this point, you should have a nice juicy vegetable base. Then I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of dark brown sugar. And then about 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. You can substitute this. I know there's vegan fish sauce available. You could even use soy sauce. In the meantime, I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to cook some rice noodles. I know most commonly curry is eaten with just plain white rice, but it's also very delicious on rice noodles. It's kind of fun to eat with a different starch sometimes. So I'm going to boil my rice noodles in a big pot of salt water and keep them moving with my tongs for a couple minutes so they don't glue together. Set a 5-minute timer. While our curry is cooking away, we'll just parboil our noodles. So once they're nice and tender, go ahead and drain them and dunk them in the sink with some cold water. At this point, our curry will be bubbling, and we can throw in our last few ingredients, which I'm going to add a bunch of spinach to mine. You don't want to add the spinach too early or it'll wilt down into basically nothingness. So keep the spinach towards the end. Same with your citrus. You don't want to add it too far in the beginning or it'll lose some of its vibrancy. So I'm adding 1/2 of a lemon, and I'll probably end up adding 1 whole lime. I just like my curries really limey. Again, all of this can be according to your own taste preferences. You could add a little more sugar if you wanted more sweet. You could add more fish sauce or more salt if you wanted to go more in that direction. If you want it spicier, you could add more curry paste. So this curry has been cooking for about 25 minutes, and all the vegetables are tender, and our rice is cooked, and I have some chopped cilantro for a garnish. So the way I like to eat it is to simply put some cooked noodles into a bowl. Then just ladle on some curry. You can see it got really red from my beets. And at this point, I'm just going to throw some chopped cilantro on top, but some peanuts or crunchy shallots would be delicious as well. So I hope you enjoy making this, and you can customize it however you want, and it's a great way to use up some of those root vegetables. Thanks for watching.